Welcome, brothers and sisters. My name is Eros and I am the Doll Maker. Also, welcome back to our series about divination. Today we will be talking about the practice of scrying. This is easier said than done, just like any simple thing we discuss about, because it's harder to explain for me a simple practice. Let's start from the beginning. What is scrying? Scrying is, of course, a divination form, maybe the oldest form of divination, arguably the oldest form of divination. And in this practice, we are deliberately losing ourselves, our attention, our perception into an external element, whatever it may be. We are pouring all of our attention into an external element to be able to completely listen, to completely concentrate into the answers we want to obtain from our subconscious mind, while the conscious mind is, in a sense, distracted into the external element. Now, this practice is not a lack of concentration. We need to concentrate just like we do in meditation practice, but we are concentrating into catching the answers from our subconscious. So we are calmly listening to our true intuition, and in a sense also to our gut feeling, our instinctive feelings. Sometimes with this practice we may even get glimpses of moments of pure focus, of a state of flow, if you want, just like the moments that of this focus that we can reach while we are fighting or in situations of heavy stress, for example, pure lucidity, so to speak. Then, how do we scry? Scrying as a practice is connection to our intuition, just like in any divination method. But in this method, connection to intuition is particularly important because it's almost the only thing that we are using for this method of divination. So it's fundamental that we prepare in the right way. So for right preparation to the practice of scrying, we will need to find a place and a time in which we will not be disturbed. We will need to be extremely relaxed, and we will need to then reach a state of meditation, not a semi-meditative state, just like we can do with different methods of divination. We will need to achieve actual meditation. And of course, to achieve meditation, we need to not be disturbed. So, preparation is key. We will need to have a place, a time to practice this kind of divination. We need to avoid distractions at all costs, for example, our cell phones and so on. And we need to have prepared clear questions we want answers for. So, fail to prepare, prepare to fail, in this sense. For this method, we will need true contemplation. We want to avoid all of the previous listed problems, so to speak, and we want to ask our questions in our mind without expectation for results, just like what we do with the pendulum, if you are following along the series. We want to calmly listen to the answers coming from within us, calmly gazing at our preferred scrying tool, method, call it like you want, and of course without expectation for results, without imposing the answers. We want to listen. We are not waiting to speak. We are listening in this sense. Of course, this requires experience and exercise in listening to our intuition. So, you want to start as soon as you can to get the experience that you need. Then, how do you select your preferred scrying method? My best option, my best recommendation are elemental methods, even though many methods of scrying exist. But I will quote the elemental methods for you so you can begin straight away, right into the argument. First one, fire scrying. So I'm talking about scrying in gazing at an open flame, at a bonfire, or even a candle, with all the requisites that we've discussed before. So with clear questions in mind, patiently listening and pouring all of your attention into the element, into the flame in this case. Then you may even want to practice water scrying. What do I mean? We are talking about scrying in or gazing at a flowing river, at the waving sea. In some tradition, even a small waterfall, or a waterfall in general. Sometimes we may even want to walk with the surface of a lake, or a single water bowl. Now, still water doesn't really work for me personally, but it works for many others. The traditional method is pouring something into still water. Natural colorants, for example, just like blueberry, even though traditionally could be even a few drops of blood. Just be extremely careful when you decide to work, and if you decide to work with blood. Now, still talking about water, if you are going to pour colorants on water, I suggest that you use a glass instead of a bowl, so you can more clearly see while you are scrying. Then let's talk about scrying with air. So I'm talking mainly about cloud scrying. That is particularly important for me. It's easy, it's free, depending on your local climate. Of course, I lived in London. I know that you can't always scry at the sky. Forgive the game of words. Or if you want to do something different, you may even want to get into a state of meditation, closing your eyes, listening to the wind, feeling the wind on your skin. Of course, if you have access to a windy place. Then for earth, when we are talking about scrying earth, traditionally we are more talking about feeling, especially in a traditional way. So I'm talking about being barefoot on soil, so in sand or earth, focusing on the sensation that it gives you, especially the tactile sensation that the earth is giving you. Or, of course, if you want to do something different, more traditional scrying, you can lightly gaze at the natural landscape, so to speak, just like sometimes many of us do to reflect, but having a precise question in mind and patiently waiting for the insight to come to us from our subconscious while we are pouring all of our attention into the landscape in this case. Of course, there are many other ways to scribe. Reading leaves, reading sand, reading bones, reading the flying of the bird, and so on. But all of many of these other methods are based on a specific technique. What do I mean? They are different in every tradition and they can be different from family to family. So these different methods of scrying are reliant on the technique that forms them. They are not the act of pure listening to your intuition. So I recommend that you study these elemental methods first. Then, if you want, you can find a teacher for the specific scrying technique, for tea leaves and so on, if you wish to do so, of course. But even if you are more interested in other methods of divination, you should work hard in your scrying technique. First of all, because it's an amazing training for your intuition. It's helpful for any other divination technique and many other practices, in fact. And secondly, because it develops your insight and your intuition that are extremely important, especially in spirit communication. If one day you want to start also the practice of spirit communication. Now, in the next lesson, we will talk better on how to interpret the signs of your intuition, the signs coming from your intuition. In the meantime, please exercise with what we have learned today. As always, I deeply thank you for your kind attention, and may eternal light shine